welcome to the Adventure Game Hotspot Network Content Creators Podcasts, and something else tacked on to the end of it. We can never figure out what to call this podcast, and I don't think we've had a proper meeting about it since the inception of it. But so this is now the podcast with the absurd acronym. And for those of you joining us from YouTube land, hello, I'm the Space Quest historian. This is a podcast, and we've actually been doing this for quite a while. It started with the Adventure Game Hotspot Network, which I will introduce the head honchos of in a brief second, because both of them are here. And it sort of began as a we're all content creators. We've joined this network of adventure game content creators, and maybe we should share notes, tips and tricks, just a sort of how do you do, maybe alert each other as to what we've got cooking up and such. And so we've actually done that for, I lost count actually. How many times have we done this?
4.
More. 4? More.
4.
I think this is the 4th one.
This is the 4th one, yes.
Really?
I'm sorry. 3. Yes, 3.1.
I thought it was more.
It just feels like more.
Okay. Well, anyway, so there are some. There is a backlog of episodes on Podbean, which is run by the Adventure Game Hotspot Network. They've got a little page on Podbean for the other episodes, which are audio only. But this time we're on YouTube now, and there are a myriad of reasons why, but most of them have to do with eyeballs, specifically yours. So let me just go ahead and introduce the network, or at least those in the network that showed up today. First of all, let's get the bosses out of the way. We've got Josh and Jack, who are the two of the head honchos over at Adventure Game Hotspot. I'm going to start with Josh because he's the one that's usually talks to us.
Hi, guys. Yeah, Joshua used to be known as Weird Gaming Adventure, been doing adventure game YouTube videos for a while, and now Jack and I have been working on Adventure Game Hotspot together, the website, I Like Blink-182, and Archer.
And long walks on the beach.
Yeah, sometimes, unless it's too hot and I get sweaty.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And Jack is the bright ray of sunshine in the company, I'm told.
Oh my goodness! Oh, this is a bleak introduction then. Adventure Game Hotspot editor. But before that, I worked for 18, going on a bazillion years at Adventure Gamers. So if you know anything about that site, you should be familiar with my work. So. But yeah, I got to say, Adventure Game Hotspot turns 1 year old this weekend. Yesterday, I think. So Happy birthday to us. Yay.
Yay. Happy birthday.
We jumped on the mushroom and got bigger.
That's right.
And so just briefly, for those joining who haven't heard of any of this Adventure Game Hotspot Network thing, what was that all about? What was the impetus for starting this thing up? And why am I in it? And why is everyone else in it, kind of thing?
Hey, Jack, you're really good with the words. Why don't you throw us out there? You're the editor guy.
Well, yeah, I can't answer why Trolls is in it particularly. No. There's just so many great content creators in the adventure game community. And, there's no sort of one place. I mean, you can find them on YouTube, but I mean, sort of one individual place that people can go to make sure they're not missing things. So that was sort of our impetus to form a group that sort of we could help share coverage of on our website of all the great work that you guys are doing. And so like if you're not, sort of frequently on YouTube and, they may not know about all the great work you guys are doing. So they come to our site and go, oh, okay, now I see it. This is great. I'm going to follow these guys. So
it's great to
one big happy family.
Collaborate with one another, and help each other with the ins and the outs. Hopefully, most of the ins, and grow as we have. And I love you guys all in a weird way.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful biology lesson from the boss man. Speaking of content creators, you mentioned that most of them are on YouTube, but we do have one in our midst who is not. And he is, in fact, a podcaster. And his name is Paul, and he has a fabulous amount of facial hair. Hello, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm growing this until it becomes a little more villainous.
Twirl it and tie people to railroad tracks.
Exactly. It's literally affecting my personality, though. It's changing me, and so it's got to go soon. It's the worst. It's so uncomfortable. Have any of you ever grown a showy mustache? It's the worst.
No,
Not
I can't
showy.
mustache.
No, but my shaver broke for like 6 months, and I felt like a fucking caveman. It was terrible. Oh god, I especially hate the way it tickles your nose. Anyway, you do a podcast.
Yeah, I guess I do. We're the Classic Gamers Guild podcast. And it's just podcast. Ironic. It's hard to talk. That's apparently what I do. CGGpodcast.com. We've done 180 something episodes.
Wow.
We are running out of ideas, but we're gonna just go head back to episode 1 and just start remastering things like Disney style. It'll be fine.
Just add more CGI monsters, George Lucas style. It'll be fine.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
And you co-host with our good friend Anna, who has also been on the show before.
Exactly. Co-host with Anna, who very much on brand is at a retro gaming expo in Portland right now, which is why she can't join us. But she's there with a lot of our mutual friends, Roberta Vaughn, and they're out having a real girly time. They threw their purses in the circle, and they're just gonna dance all night. That's not how either of them are. But it's Anna's doing the retro thing, but she's the co-host, and yeah, we have fun. And then I make the Phantom Fellows. I'm working on a point and click adventure game now, and it actually gets dragged into a lot of that too. She has to do a lot of, does this look good? Is that funnying for me? So.
And it is objectively one of the funniest games I've played. The man actually has a way with words.
Thank you, Rob.
Speech impediment aside. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so yes, this is Paul. He co-runs a CGG podcast about adventure games. Daniel Albu over here is the co-creator and showrunner, I guess, of Conversations with Curtis. Now, who are you? Who's Curtis? And how have you been?
I've been well. I've been better.
Yes, for reasons.
Curtis is the main character in Phantasmagoria 2, Sierra Online's third FMV game. And Curtis is the other half of Conversations with Curtis. Curtis is played by Paul Morgan Stettler. And we started out as a channel that focuses on Phantasmagoria 2 with interviews about Phantasmagoria 2 and the cast and crew. And we branched out to everything adventure game related.
Yep. And you do a lot of wonderful interviews, you do a lot of wonderful Let's Plays, and you've managed to get the all Phantasmagoria band together. In fact, even the actress who played Adrienne in the first Phantasmagoria played her game with Paul on your stream.
And now she's playing it with me. And this Friday, we also have a special guest. And last Friday, we got Roberta Williams to join the live chat.
Oh.
I didn't know that. Now I'm waiting.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Oh, and and I probably should have had the whole "What are you working on?" thing rolled into this little round table, but we'll get there. Anyway, rounding out the cast is One Short Eye, who is the man with the subscriber count to dwarf us all, and also a speedrunning extraordinaire fountain of knowledge. How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm actually quite good for once.
If I should add, I wanted to add this too, since Daniel brought it up. Victoria also wrote a really well written article about her experience, playing herself. That was really introspective, and maybe we can put that link in the description or something. But it was a good read.
Definitely should. I shared that on the socials. I was going to say Twitter. That's not his name anymore. But yeah,
I will always call it Twitter.
It'll always be Twitter.
Absolutely. Now on that we can absolutely agree. Okay, so let's circle back. One Short Eye, what have you been working on, and what's coming up in the future for you?
Yeah, so the big thing right now is sort of a two-parter video on Conquests of the Longbow. The first video is about the details and the absurd amount of branching paths in the game itself. And the second one is about speedrunning the game. So that is what I am knee deep in working on. And many of the people in this call right now have been kind enough to help voice act that, because there are lots of parts, and I figured that it would be very boring to either have me voice all of them or for me to summarize everything. So thank you.
May I interject?
Yes.
So I sent One Short Eye my clips, and he goes, can you do this again and not British? And I said, wait, that was British? Oh boy. Apparently it was a really bad voice. So
it wasn't a bad voice. It was a little too silly for what I was going for.
Yes. Okay. Understood.
If I had told everybody else to be silly, it would have fit, but it would have just been out of place.
I just like the idea. Just think more Kevin Costner, less Carrie Elves.
The problem is that if you have people who don't have natural British accents trying to do British accents and trying to act at the same time, it just comes across goofy for most of us.
Totally didn't know I was British in that. Oh boy. I got another one coming at you, and it's going to be good. I know that.
Okay.
It's gonna be the Doom guy kind of voice is gonna be
yes, it's gonna be good as I can.
Well, looking forward to all of that. And Daniel, you've already mentioned what's coming with Adrian and you playing Phantasmagoria.
Mm-hmm.
What else have you got? Any sleep?
Well, tomorrow we're doing I'm doing a Let's Play with David Fox. We're playing his game, Zach McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders, and which should be interesting. On Wednesday, I plan to play the FMV game, the 1996 FMV game. There were a bunch of them in 1996. Star Trek Borg, which was recently remastered, was a fan remaster. This guy found a DVD of the recordings from the game, and he remastered that in 4K, and the game is available you can play it online. It's absolutely free. Wow. And I'm going to do a Let's Play with him, a Let's Play / interview, in which he'll let me know how he upscaled the entire thing by himself while we're struggling to upscale Phantasmagoria 2 by ourselves. And on Friday, like I said, we're going to have Roberta Williams. No, not Roberta Williams. We're going to have Victoria and Paul, and we're going to play Phantasmagoria 1. And we have a special guest. And no, it's not Roberta Williams.
I was going to say. It's Ken. Right? And, probably not. But anyway, and back to Paul. What have you guys been working on? And where are things? You said you were out of ideas. So cooking shows coming up in the future?
My knee-jerk reaction was to just deny things as you said my name. Like, no, nothing. I'm not working on anything with anybody. we're
the typical villain response.
Yes.
I'm not up to anything.
You have to be careful with that train of thought, because eventually you end up in the not allowed within 200 feet of a school kind of category. You don't want that.
It's a slippery slope. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, so we just did an episode. Well, I just did an episode yesterday with fellow network member Adventure Game Geek, and it was a lot of fun. It was supposed to be us. The framing was like, if you're looking for a spooky game to play this spooky season, me and Geek are going to help you pick which one, and then. I don't have leadership skills, so that quickly was out the window. And it kind of just turned into like ranking horror games from 0 to they have a pumpkin in them. It was more how it turned out.
That tracks.
It actually more devolved into just games that it's like nighttime and raining, because there's not a lot of like horror adventure games. So we had to broaden it out. But that was a lot of fun. And then in the next month or so, we're going to have One Short Eye on to do a longbow episode, which will be cool. And I think that's it. Was that an answer? Do I sound like
that's a no? Yeah, yes, and cool. And yes, you are off the hook. Thank you, sir. And Jack and Josh, what's going on in the Hotspot land?
Well, I'll start with the website first. I'm going to take exception to Paul saying there aren't many horror adventure games. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of horror adventure games, and we're covering a bunch of them this month, leading up to a special article about the top 20 scariest adventure games of all time. So that's
Hugo's House of Horrors, straight to number one.
No, we tried. We tried to get it to number one, but turns out didn't happen.
Didn't happen, but that's all we're saying. So, but we got some really interesting things happening on the video end. So, Joshua, why don't you tell people what's coming up?
Yeah, currently I am working on a promo for upcoming adventure game Hotspot convention coming up. Got a bunch of developers. We're doing a funny little thing with Josh Mandel. He's like flying in his King Graham outfit, and I'm dubbing him in falling while he's trying to get to Tacoma for the April 21st convention. And then on the 21st of October, we are doing our, as Jack had mentioned, it's our 1 year anniversary, and we're going to do a 12-hour long, fun live stream. And I assume that you folks, or many of you, will be there from time and again. And we've got lots of different developers coming in, like Ken Williams, Dave Gilbert, yada yada. It'll be fun time.
Wait, has it been a year since the last 12-hour live stream?
It has,
on the anniversary, yeah. Actually, it was today? Yesterday? Yesterday was the 1 year anniversary.
No, today.
Was it today?
Yeah. Literally a year ago today.
All right.
It depends on your time.
I just recovered from it last week. So,
yeah, it's going to be a fun time. How about you, buddy?
Me? Oh, it was Scott Murphy's birthday this Friday at time of recording. So I scrambled most of last week getting people to submit stuff to put in a birthday video. Every year we do the Space Quest Olympics on his birthday. They used to be live streams, and now I've realized I don't like live streaming particularly much. So I decided to do a sort of stupid human tricks cavalcade. Several reasons. One, as you can tell, I struggle with keeping my mouth shut and saying inappropriate things on the air, and also it's just anxiety inducing for me because. It actually turns out I was late diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, and I couldn't figure out why my palms were sweaty and my head hurt after every live stream. But it turns out it probably might have something to do with that. So I'm not too keen on live streaming. So we did the whole stupid human tricks thing instead, which luckily some people in this call also were kind enough to submit some stuff for, and Scott watched it and said he enjoyed it very much, and hey, that's always good news. And I'm also working on a video that should have been out like a month ago, which is also sort of a cavalcade thing. This time it's about when you're a content creator, especially on YouTube, you tend to get a lot of unsolicited emails from publishers and adventure game developers, or just game developers in general, saying, hey, check out our game, check out our Kickstarter. Would you like to give us some free promotion on your channel and such? And like an asshole, I usually ignore them. But this time I thought, you know what, let's actually take a look. And then I invited some members of the network, and that would be One Short Eye and Adventure Game Geek, who sadly could not join this call today because he doesn't know how to turn on his computer. And see, there's that inappropriate thing again. And and Anna,
media live stream.
Don't edit it out.
No, I won't. And Anna, Paul's co-host. Again, I was about to say something inappropriate there. We got together and we played 4 games that were new at the time we started making the video. They aren't really that current anymore, but we gave ourselves 15 minutes to play each game, and then I just sort of cut together this little montage of us playing each game and ranked them and stuff like that. So that's coming out very, very... this coming week, again, at time of recording, I will actually get shit done.
What are you calling that, by the way?
To the Wolves.
Oh, so yeah. like an asshole, you don't reply to him. But I want to be I'm going to throw him to the wolves.
That's the general idea. Now we did actually email each because we needed Steam keys. Obviously,
they're hilarious, by the way.
So they are technically on board with at least the premise of what we're doing, and we do plan to do more in the future. Hopefully, a bit faster.
I guess they're on board with you reviewing it, not with the premise.
Oh, I told them the premise. I didn't specifically say what we were going to do to them, but I will say we are very fair and very balanced individuals.
I was not involved in that one.
Nope.
I bowed out real quick. I'm like, I'm out of this one.
I think it was one of those situations where it's better to let the children play and let the adults take a back seat. So yeah, and I've got a bunch of other shit that I want to do in the future. There's a 7th guest retrospective, and I want to do a video on the most obtuse point-and-click adventure game of all time, Blue Ice. And I want to play Universe, and I want to get my Police Quest 2 Let's Play done. There's a long, long road ahead of me. But anyway, I won't bore you with any of that. Today we are actually here. How long has it been since we started? Like 40 minutes
40
or something.
minutes.
6 years.
Right. Yeah. So the topic of today's little shenanigan here was, ironically, I suppose, everyone having already checked out of the video, is community and how to keep them engaged and keep them interested, and what we do to build our communities. Because content creation is one thing, but usually there are some people consuming that content. And how do you build a community? How do you keep them engaged? How do you respond to favorable criticism, awful criticism, trolls, all that stuff? Not as in, well, how do you... I'll start again. How do you respond to people just being assholes for the sake of being assholes? Again, no, there's not a clear enough distinction there. Right. Someone take this from me. So One Short Eye, the man with the million subs. How?
It's not quite that much.
No, but you do have a very healthy, very mature. And I say this in a sort of, no one has thrown around any horrible slurs in your comments as far as I've seen. You have a very calm, nice, wonderful community. How did that happen?
Mostly, yes. At least if you're talking about the comments section, that's mostly by accident, I think. I also think a lot of it is just the type of videos I make. I don't make, like most of us here, I don't make drama content. I don't make, I don't know what drama we would even have. Stuff like that. I have gotten like some comments that I've had to remove. Once you get enough comments, there's always a small percentage of people who are just going to be jerks and rude. Most of the time it's ones, I don't know if this is quite accurate, but definitely if they ever like make fun of somebody who I interviewed in a video, that's almost an automatic, like, get rid of it. You can make fun of me. That's fine.
And I will.
But yes, but if it's, and some people are just sort of unhinged. Like I remember one guy who went to multiple videos and found people who were interviewed in the videos and pretended as if they had been discovered for speedrun cheating and was like, "Hey, I heard you got busted for cheating. Wow." And did that like across multiple videos. It was just weird. It was one of those like, what are you, this isn't like, it's not even funny. It's just sort of weird. What are you doing?
Oh, we'll get back to weird. Don't worry. But I want to focus. So, but you cover adventure game speedrunning, and speedrunning is by definition a competitive thing. But you also have, if I may say so, sir, this very sort of calm and objective and sort of collected demeanor, almost as an adult. Do you think that contributes to
that's the key of it? Yeah. Like we are all, everybody in our sort of corner of the speedrunning community, we understand that it's a friendly competition, and we also tend, because it's adventure games, we skew older. There have been like minor disagreements and minor, if you want to call them dramas here and there, but only in the sense of like when you have a group of people who get together and do a hobby, sometimes toes get stepped on, and then guess what? We talk about it, and then it's over in very short amount of time, and we move on with our day. So
human adult dialogue? No.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Wow. Well, I guess Daniel, you must see some amazing drama from people like me who say that Phantasmagoria isn't scary at all. No. So the community that's risen up around Conversation with Curtis, I would imagine most of them are Phantasmagoria fans who enjoyed Paul's portrayal in the game. And also, given that you've now interviewed a bunch of really well-known people in the adventure game sphere, you've also got, I would imagine, quite a few LucasArts fans joining in because you seem to interview a lot of LucasArts alumni. So what would you like if you were to like stick a finger in the air and sort of weigh in on the totally, the vibe in your comments in your community, so to speak? Well, how would you describe it?
Well, there are people that have joined our channel organically. And by organically, I mean actually finding out about our channel, watching the videos, by us sharing them online or through Googling one of the search terms, then those people are usually more supportive of the content we create and the way we create it, either the live streams or the fact that Paul is an inexperienced gamer and me as an experienced gamer, and the dynamic between us. But recently we had some high-profile guests which brought in their own viewers to our channel. And those viewers are accustomed to the format that those guests produce and not our format. So once we got those viewers to watch our content, we started getting, let's say, hateful comments about either us being annoying, boring, pathetic, whatever. So the thing is, me, like Matt, comments about our guests are deleted automatically. I'm working very hard to get guests to our channel. And so the last thing I want is for them to feel unwelcome. And even trivial comments like, boring, saying boring about a guest can actually, they can take it personally. And we've had a guest that has taken personally a comment that we didn't delete that said boring about our guest, and they took it personally. And
I remember the article that Victoria wrote where she actually said in the chat, someone said...
That's the guest.
That's the one, yeah. She's on record saying that it was her.
Okay. So the thing is that comments about, I leave Paul to either choose to delete or comment about the comments that are made about him, and he does the same for comments about me. And I started leaving the comments about me, and I just started responding to them. Even the biggest trolls, I just started responding to all of them. So, for example, someone wrote that we had a live stream with Spoonie, with Noah Antweiler, in which me and him played Dune. And one of the comments was that the live stream was boring and that we were pretty bad at playing Dune, and that we didn't know what we were talking about. And so...
really hard to be bad at playing Dune.
No, it's Dune 1.
Yeah.
So the first thing when I replied, I told him, first of all, we haven't played Dune in several decades, so we don't pretend as if we are good players, because we aren't. And the second thing is, I actually asked him, which information about Dune did we get wrong? Did we talk about something that is not factually true? So eventually when he replied, he said, you didn't mention that the characters in the game, some of them are similar to their movie counterparts. And we actually talked about that. But, how do you go from that, you not talking about something, to you not knowing what you're talking about? So usually they get off their high horse, and I started doing it like 2 months ago. And eventually they all get off their high horse and they either apologize or they actually confirm the fact that they didn't know what they were talking about.
Nancy, we've sort of preemptively gotten into how do we deal with bad comments and criticisms, valid or invalid and such, and I will get back to all of that. But what about the positive comments that you get? What's the sort of vibe you got? Let's say now you've sort of split your audience down in half, really. So it's like the people we used to get, who were fans of Phantasmagoria and all that content, and then the people who came in with the guests and expected different kind of content. But how would you sort of, when we're talking about the positive elements of your community, how would you describe those?
Positive elements. First of all, we have a pretty supportive community. Our Discord server has tons of users. And we have a pretty supportive community, and we see that in the fact that we have a group of about 20, 30 people that join every live stream, regardless of when we live stream, which day of the week. And it's a pretty great group of people who are fans of Conversations with Curtis. And regardless of the content even, because we started branching out from adventure games and we started playing all types of games. So, for example, I played Dune, which is part adventure game and part strategy game. Mm-hmm. People still tuned in. If anything, more people tuned in than on our regular live streams.
Yeah, you should play Minecraft. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. Don't play Minecraft.
Yeah, I'm sure 20-year-olds will love me.
No. Go Fortnite. No.
And so the positive aspects of our community is the fact that it's a great group of people who just enjoy every content we create and are also supporting us through Patreon and Coffee constantly. And, we sometimes ask them, which type of content would you like us to produce? We have had people on Patreon from the beginning. There's someone who's at the top tier of several $100s, and she's been there from day one. So for 3 years, she's been paying several hundreds of dollars to support us.
Wow.
And
Sarah, what's your name?
We're tabulating the cash here. That's a lot of cash for 3 years.
And so we like to ask all of our Patreon members, not just the top tier, which content would they like us to produce. And most of them reply that they just want us to continue producing content. That's it.
There you go. That's the
which is great to hear, because then you know that they support you regardless of what you create. But it leaves you wondering what other type of content you can create that can bring in even more people or can keep everyone's interest.
And that's where the cooking show comes in. Trust me, it worked for Techmoan. It can work for you.
Gaming's not boring. Cooking, oh yeah, we'll get there. We'll get to that boring level real soon.
And the cool thing is Techmoan doesn't even have a sense of taste, which makes his cooking shows even more impressive. I'll get back to you, Daniel. I want to know about Paul, because you guys are in the podcasting community. So how much of a community do you have around the show? Obviously, you're branded as the Classic Gamers Guild podcast, which means, and for those of you who don't know, Classic Gamers Guild is a Facebook group full of adventure game fans and like-minded nerds. So you already have that community sort of half baked into the show. First of all, what chicken and egg, what came first, the podcast or the community? And second of all, what sort of community do you have sort of outside the CGG bubble?
Unclear.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, so the Facebook group. So I started the podcast with a guy named Rick, and as some of you may have run into him on, and doesn't matter. He started Sorry, my son is just selfishly sneezing, and it's just unbelievable.
Is he twirling his mustache while he's doing it?
Should we all sneeze just to make him feel less selfish?
He'll be dealt with.
There you go.
So Rick started the Classic Gamers Guild. He started the Classic Gamers Guild Facebook page and the podcast, and then he kind of saw himself out of the podcast, leaving Anna and I. And So yeah, I guess I'm kind of almost accidentally attached to the Facebook group just because I had nothing to do with it. But it does help because there's like 5,000 or 6,000 people in that group, and it's an awesome community for anybody watching, listening that's not a part of it. You should check it out because there's a lot of like alumni like Josh Mandel and people are Alu Frazier are always around commenting, and it's a really fun place for adventure gamers. I don't go on there personally anymore just because with the game development and like solo dad stuff, I never have time for Facebook. And I'm half saying that right now, just specifically instead of for all of our listeners, but for anybody that like leaves me comments or tags me and stuff. Cause I go on like every 3 months and you see like a sweet comment and you're like, oh, I'm such a dick. Cause they probably think I'm just ignoring them. But I'm never actually on there, which is probably not what to do if we're trying to set examples. Like if you have a Facebook group that's really large and attached to your podcast, probably address the people. But not doing so is working out for us. I mean, we've got about like 20 Patreon members, which is enough to pay our bills like for Podbean and Clean Feed. And then it leaves us $16 that Anna and I just savagely fight over every month. And but it's
just
nice.
Dangle them from a string and just go like cats.
Yes,
bad at it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's good for a number 2 at McDonald's, so it's nice, but it is awesome having everything just kind of paid for and then just like a little extra tip jar, I guess. And so yeah, community engagement, Anna does handle all of that stuff, but there's really not much. Like considering there's 5,000 people on the Facebook page, we get like 1 or 2 comments a month. And thank you, Josh, for those 1 or 2 comments.
Love you guys.
It's almost odd. I know. Thanks, man. Love you too. It's almost odd how big the group is to how little the engagement is. But we always have a consistent amount of listeners. So I'm guessing that comes from there. So it all just kind of works out.
So that's good. So if I were to ask positive, negative, what's the general vibe? It would just be a sort of crickets. You're quite sure that people are tuning in, but you don't get a lot of engagement the other way. Is he strangling a cat?
Baxter, come on.
The only thing I would add is we drop like our email at the end of an episode, and we do have a couple of listeners who send us emails almost religiously. One guy named Brian Manow, who makes music under the moniker Death Defying. And if anybody here likes synthwave music, his music is awesome. I think he's actually worked on a few like indie adventure game scores and stuff like that. But yeah, just for anybody listening, I'm just going to free plug him because he's such an awesome dude. And he sends us the sweetest emails, like just really in depth. Like you could tell he really appreciates the show. Like the kind of emails that make you want to keep going with it. It's like, wow, this, as long as your show means like a lot to like 3 people, we'll have like somewhere between, I don't know, 200 and 500 listeners an episode. So it's okay. I mean, it's not like the greatest numbers, but all that aside, when you get emails from Brian and then we get like 1 or 2 from other people peppered in a month, it's like, it's really cool. Cause it's like, I have podcasts that I'm like a fan of, and it's just kind of cool to know there's people out there that are like looking forward to your release day.
Yeah, and it's also kind of interesting because podcasts are generally not, you don't get a lot of comments. It's mostly like personal correspondence type things, more like in private. You email the creators. And by the way, if anyone is still watching this for some reason and or listening to it, we will also in future episodes love input from you, questions that you want to pose to whoever shows up for the next episodes, any topics you want us to cover, anything you want us to elaborate on, or just general questions about content creation and tips and tricks and all that. We've already done some tech-heavy episodes about audio equipment and video editing and all that sort of stuff. You can go and check those out on the Podbean directory, which is in the video description. But hey, just feel free to shoot them, and we'll put them in the next episode. I
will say it's a little odd to me that that podcasts and like Podbean don't have comments
Yes.
or don't have ways to do that. Maybe that's easier for some podcasters because then you don't have to deal with comments. And so maybe that's one, moderation problem you don't have to deal with. But like when I listen to a CGG podcast, I can, send Paul something in Discord because I know him. But before this, if I would listen to it, and I did listen to a few of the CGG episodes before joining this network. It was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I kind of feel like saying something, but I don't want to open Facebook just to do that. And I don't even know if my account's still active. And
yeah.
Old man talk over here. We're there.
No, but it's true. And most people don't listen to podcasts from the podcast's website. That's just where they go in and find the RSS feed and subscribe to it. So when you're walking around listening to a podcast on your phone, on a train station or wherever you do your thing, you don't have a comment field ready to go, unlike if you're like watching a YouTube video.
Well, if you give this podcast a 5-star review, you can, however, make a comment on iTunes.
Yeah. Or you just go in the comment field on YouTube.
In your review.
But yeah, you could
Only a 5-star review, though. Even if it's a bad, you don't like it, say something negative in a 5-star review. Bangarang, Peter, we're good.
To what one short I was just saying about the effort to get through to a podcast, it almost works as like a bodyguard between me and angry comments. Because we did an episode on King's Quest, our last episode, and I accidentally went a little too hard on shitting on all the King's Quest games, except for 4, and it was sure
harder than me.
It was inspired by you. I had just revisited your whole series last month, so it was probably in there a little bit. Like, hey, trolls can do it. I'll go in here like diet trolls and just do it, tone it down a little bit.
I hope none of the King's Quest wiki editors saw you do that.
We immediately got an angry letter the next day. Somebody was just like, "Oh no!" Just kind of hit us with, like, "How dare you on King's Quest 3?" And
I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
a letter. Hold on. Now, if you got a real letter, then we should probably we might just want to cut that one out immediately.
Yeah, don't put your home address in your podcast descriptions. But
what I liked about that episode? Maybe I just missed it. Maybe I was spacing out. But you went out of your way to like say, okay, this is not the best one. This is not the best one. And you were like, okay, Mask of Eternity is definitely not the best one. But if I remember right, you didn't even mention King's Quest 7. Maybe I spaced out during that part.
Oh, you're right. I forgot it completely.
See, that one is traumatizing for a lot of reasons. Oh, so
it's the best one.
Yes, and
I'm not kidding.
Yes,
it's my favorite King's Quest.
It's classic Daniel.
You like screaming and crying.
We've had this.
I've heard that. Wait, more than one
I'd
person.
like to hear what they wrote you about your review of King's Quest.
It was just started out, "How dare you, ... No, honestly, I don't know because I didn't read it, which is, maybe I shouldn't have said that on the thing. Anna read it and she's like, somebody's not happy. And I was like, should I read it? And she's like, yeah, you having a good day? And I was like, I am. She's like, probably just don't. So yeah, they were mad about King's Quest 3. And then I did kind of almost feel bad because I played King's Quest 3 with a walkthrough and enjoyed it. But I didn't mean to go that hard. My mistake was not telling Anna that I was going to go in pretty hard for the laugh. So it just created like this weird, and you don't really commit to it. So it just stays this weird surface kind of. Yeah. So anyway.
I feel you.
I played King's Quest.
The first hateful comment we got was when we played with Roscott, King's Quest 1, the remake. And I had only bad thing to say about the game. It was the first time I played King's Quest 1 or even the remake. And I went pretty hard on the game.
It's not a good remake.
And we got various hateful comments about me.
About me? We got hateful comments about me.
Ross got a free pass. You got all the shit. Is that?
No, so that's the thing. Ross's reviews of games aren't usually good reviews. He's always making fun of the games he's reviewing. That's the appeal of his reviews. So I felt comfortable with his viewers to be critical of a game that I despise. So But I found out that Sierra fans are pretty sensitive when it comes to King's Quest. While Sierra fans don't have a problem telling me that the dig is boring or crap or that the puzzles are annoying.
Don't judge us too harshly. We did have to play Sierra games when we were younger.
King's Quest 1 may or may not be nominated for the Hall of Fame. On the
probably not the remake.
Game Hall of Fame, but not the remake.
Which is kind of a shame, actually. It's kind of a shame because King's Quest 1, the remake, is actually Josh Mandel's first proper I wrote this game author thing for Sierra. So and Ken Allen did the music, so it has some things going for it. The only problem is it's King's Quest 1, and it's objectively even worse than the original somehow. A side note. Okay, so a quick note from the Hotspot adults. So you guys running a website that has both news and you have this community of creators running around in the background causing all sorts of mischief, and you have reviews of games that are coming out. So obviously you must weather some good with the bad in terms of community. How do you guys cope, and how would you sort of weather the overall vibe of yours? And I'm looking at both of you, so just jump in.
Jack, why don't you take the online stuff and I'll take the video stuff? How about that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of separate community into sort of two parts. There's the actual community through forums or Discord, or the people that are there to be part of a community, and I find they tend to be generally very supportive. Or often they don't really say anything at all. They're just happy to be part of something and part of a group and stuff like that. It's a generally positive experience. And then there's the sort of hit and run gang of, article comments, Twitter. I mean, yes, we're always calling it Twitter, that sort of thing. And there's no question those tend to skew a little bit more negative. There's nothing like, honestly, I don't know. It's a horrible tendency of people to not be able to accept or even welcome other opinions. But man, if you insult something that they like, it's like you've run over their dog and, insulted their mother. Twice. You know what I mean? It's like
you backed up over that dog too.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's tough because, like, honestly, I really welcome alternate points of view. I really do. Like, I would love an article comment that said, I absolutely disagree with everything you said. Like, great review. I absolutely disagree with everything you said, and here's why. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's far more beneficial. It's all great when I loved it too. Yeah, I loved it too. I loved it. Well, that's not an interesting conversation. Whereas, when you get into what someone else liked and another person didn't like, so it's so much richer and better. So I really welcome that. And, I'm really lenient in terms of how much somebody can get away with if they're being critical. Like, I will allow probably a lot more than maybe it sounds like some of you guys would. Now, if you start getting personal with my team, my writers, then you've poked Papa Bear and, you're going to have trouble. But that doesn't happen too often. It feels like it happens way too often, but it doesn't. I mean, if I go on IGN or GameSpot or something, it's like I do a sort of over-under. Within 10 comments, I'm going to want to kill myself or somebody on there. And it's always under, you know what I mean? Whereas with us, it's like once in a blue moon, someone will just go, blah, 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 this reviewer obviously blah, 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 No.
But interestingly, unlike us, content creators, Paul, Daniel, and One Short Eye and myself, you guys are under the responsibility of journalistic integrity. You have to sort of keep a straight face, and you have a certain amount of responsibility that the rest of us are free from. I mean, in my case, I don't make reviews. I shit on games for a living. One Short Eye does documentaries. Paul does a podcast. Daniel does interviews and playthroughs, and we're not under any under any scrutiny for our integrity. Any of that is just a complete misunderstanding of what we do, whereas you run a website with journalists doing stuff.
And yet, interestingly, I can't say for sure, but I would venture a guess that we get more criticism of what we do than you guys do, probably because you guys do yours with humor. I mean, we try and do sort of like reviews with a little levity, but you guys present with humor, especially like Paul. I know Paul does everything with humor. Everything Paul says is funny, even if it's like, oh, my mother just died kind of thing. So, and Paul, I sincerely hope your mother just didn't. But, like, I think if you present it as something funny, then people are going, okay, I'm more.
Thanks for joining.
Of, like, you can shit on my favorite game if you make it funny. You know what I mean? But don't shit on my game and be serious about it, which our reviews sometimes have to do, right? So,
well, there's also the fact that, at the bottom of your reviews, you give it a score. Like there is at least an air of objective subjectivity.
Well, and that's a big thing though, too, because, with that, especially being associated with Metacritic, and there's not a lot of adventure games that have any association with Metacritic. So if we maybe give a game a 72 and somebody else gives it a 78 or something, well, or 66 or something, we have sincerely dropped, that score. So people are coming out fighting. They liked that score. It's not just a matter of, okay, you have to review this game and you got to protect the industry as well. You got to give it a good score. People truly believe that, like unequivocally to their core. They believe, okay, it's your job to protect the industry and to bring everybody up. And you mentioned journalistic integrity. We can't, and we got to trust, or at least put ourselves in a position to succeed and trust the staff, which I think Jack does a wonderful job in handling our staff in that regard.
Yeah, if we could get rid of review scores, I would in a heartbeat. Technically we can, but sort of realistically, you're a nobody if you're not on Metacritic. So that's sort of a concession that we have to make. And, I don't like it, but that's playing the game kind of thing, right?
All right. So that's the website stuff. Over on the video side stuff, probably more of a free air, less responsibility of the journalistic kind, but obviously being still associated with a website, with a review and interview kind of website, you probably have a bit more scrutiny than the rest of us again.
Well, and starting with, Weird Gaming Adventure, like for adventure game YouTube websites, it was relatively successful in a pretty quick manner. And so I had that. And then associating after that, kind of rebranding once Jack and I opened Adventure Game Hotspot, then, things, maybe I couldn't be as personal about something, which is it's not a bad trade-off to do it like that. We have had quite a bit of views, I guess for YouTube. I guess the channel's got a couple million views on there, but we don't get a lot of comments. For every 5,000 view video, I may get 50 comments or something. And I think all of us can say that our ratio of hate in a 50 comment is not very big. It's, especially if you're doing something from a kind and fun, manner. And yeah, sure, people can disagree with the list if you do like a listicle type of thing. Oh, you forgot the dig. Yeah, I did. I did forget the dig. But no one really
look at Daniel's face being all that.
No one's kicking our butts over it.
Except Daniel.
Plus, I have been, but then again, like when it comes to community stuff, well, I'm very active. Being an obsessive compulsive person, I can't get a comment. If somebody makes a comment, I have to respond quickly, and I think people do actually appreciate that. And so I think that's one way to keep people engaged. I think that's kind of what you were going for, right, in that question?
Absolutely. So I guess we sort of covered that the type of comments we get, even small fry stuff like me, slightly bigger like one short eye, and all that. It's generally the whole adventure game vibe, comment wise, seems to be once they are actively engaged in your community, and they tend to have a mature approach to the way they leave comments, as opposed to, let's say, someone who plays a different genre of games. There's typically seems to be more of a combative element to other genres of games.
Yeah, I mean, just being human, like the really caustic comments stick out in your head. But I mean, if I'm being honest, that's the vast minority of them, and most people are appreciative or supportive or enthusiastic. So I don't want to give off the impression that, a large percentage of them are. It's just that 1 or 2% tends to be pretty strange and out there. So it kind of sticks in your mind.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting point, because even someone like me facetiously takes a huge dump all over all of the King's Quest games for shits and giggles. There were not a lot of like outright offended, hateful comments to any of that. And the few that were of, like Jack said, I like the video, but I disagree with what you said. I'm like, okay, thank you very much for at least watching it. That's great. So I haven't really gotten any like, all right, I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to find his home address and kill his cat or whatever. So next up, we've already been going for 55 minutes, and we usually try to cap these at 1 hour. That's not going to happen. But because one thing I wanted to get around to is community. What's the word I'm looking for? Second language. Retention seems sort of heartless in a way, but once you've built a community and you've got people actually watching your content, keeping them engaged and participant in the sort of content you make. That's one of the things I think is really funny, to like get other people involved, not just in the content you make, but also like have little community projects going on. We're doing a Space Quest 5 fan dub over on my Discord. People are just recording voices for Space Quest 5 because it never had a CD-ROM version. That's one thing we're doing. The King's Chill, King's Quest remix records that we've been putting out, also sort of a community thing that started on my Discord. So we've got all these sort of things happening around. It's technically me, I guess, because it's my community, but it's not really me doing it. It's everyone else. So I just want to get a way in.
See, I'm curious about that. And that's one question I wanted to ask you, Trolls, is that you have a Discord that is very chatty. They're very active and there's a lot there. How did that come about? Because like there's a lot of people in there and there's a lot of discussion that happens in that Discord.
Dude, I have no fucking idea. I honestly don't. I started a Slack back when I started my Patreon because I was like, oh, donate to my Patreon. You get in on the Slack chat. And there's like 5 people in there. And then we heard about Discord. So we said, why don't we just migrate to Discord? Okay, let's do that. And all of a sudden, people just sort of started joining. And I don't know why.
It's home. No, it's home. And I can say that, myself included, like I've been on your Discord long before I created any of mine. And I think the same can be said for most of us. Like that was the first one there, and it's kind of and you have multiple Discords that are at least that you're administering, that are very active. And all you need is really 3 active people. You need 3 active people, and then when they make a comment, and a couple of the less active people trickle in, and then you get 400 or 500, comments a day, like you do.
And I'm not even being like faux modest or facetious or anything. I literally have no idea how it panned out this way, because usually the thing that gets talked about the least is the shit I'm doing on, YouTube and whatever. That's not 99% of the conversation going on over there is how do we fuck up this graphics driver for Space Quest and make it display in text mode, and what kind of music are you listening to? And for some reason there's always drama in the food channel. I don't know why. So literally it's not really the Space Quest historian Discord anymore. It's only that in name. And it's somewhere I get to pimp my shit. So honestly, Matt, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, Discord servers usually have a life of their own. And, usually we can blame the algorithm on social networks for the fact that not all of our followers see our posts. So, for example, if I post about, now that Twitter has information about how many people saw your post, so we have 1,000 something followers, and I have on my Twitter account 24,000 followers. And when I post about one of our live streams, then I can see that only 400 or 500 people saw it, which is a very small percentage. But on Discord, when you tag everyone as an admin, everyone sees it. Everyone gets a notification unless they muted the entire server. So you can be certain that 400 people on our server or 1,000 something on Troll server have seen that notification. Mm-hmm. And if you post about your live stream to 400 people and they all get a notification and you still get only 30 viewers, then that's because the other 370 viewers aren't interested in that particular live stream.
I will just quickly interject that add everyone on the SQH Discord is a bannable offense.
I don't add people.
I see your points.
Everybody has their own, their own ways and, how they're set up. It's not going to be offensive to some people if that's what they've done from the beginning. You know what I mean?
No, but I see your point, Daniel. Discord being a chat place and not a sort of comment place, I see YouTube comments as sort of a townhouse where everyone's mingling and people are just shouting stuff at the person on stage, and it's not really clear if they can hear you or not. Whereas a Discord is like a cocktail party where people are walking around, clink, and clink, and how was your day kind of thing. So if you check someone on a Discord server or something, no. My original question was, how do you keep so you're not just I'm the content creator, I'm pushing my content out to people, one or two of them might respond or whatever, and I'm just going to keep doing my shit. Or do you, Daniel, you said you asked your community what sort of content should we create, and they just went, just do your thing, man. But how have you at all tried to get your community to influence your content, your production, maybe the way you produce it or any of that sort of stuff? I should probably point to someone, so I'm going to say Paul.
Oh, no.
He's petting this cat like Dr. Evil over here.
Yeah. What's the end game for the mustache?
World domination, apparently, I think, is
a good answer.
The only place it can end.
You're getting there.
CGG, closed circuit. There's a lot of adventure game fans. People must have at least ideas for shit you should cover, or do they just let you do your thing?
Yeah, they mostly leave us alone, and I'm always hesitant to ask what they think for a lot of reasons. But the main one is
there's the bottom.
I can blame everything on the mustache going forward. I'm so sorry. It's since I've been in game development for the last almost 3 years now with Phantom Fellows, I've really reeled back any temptations, especially on Anna's side, to ask what people want us to cover, because then I have to stop and play the game, and we're still doing that now because after almost 200 episodes, it's the free ideas that are left are just covering games that we haven't covered before. So there's that. But whenever I do play a game for a show, it's 50-50. The con is that I have to kind of rush through it. I got to get it done in a week, which means a lot of walkthroughs and just note taking and just, I don't know, lack of immersion, I guess, because it's for a different purpose. The pro is that I make my son playing with me. So that's kind of fun. Just forcing memories upon him and adventure game indoctrination. So that part's nice. But yeah, I guess the main point is asking our audience usually leads to they want a specific game covered. And then for me, it's be careful what we, request of them, because then I have to fulfill it, which is no fun.
Right. I guess one short eye, you kind of get the same thing. If you were to poll your audience, they would just blurt out their favorite game.
Yeah, I actually did ask for that at the end of one video, and I tallied up the responses just to see, and but bless my audience, but I just ignored most of it because I have to feel interested in the game, but it is somewhat helpful to be okay, maybe plan on down the line, maybe I'll play that game next, and then that way when I'm ready to make a video about it, then I've at least played it and not like Paul said, rushing through it just to do it. But yeah, that's kind of the way it is. It's like, some of the funnier ones are, people ask, can you do a video about this game? It's some obscure RPG that I have never played. And I've never responded this way, but I probably should just say, you know what? You go and make a video about it. I don't know anything about that. You know more than I do.
The interesting thing about, your content specifically is that it's usually about speedruns, and speedrunning is its own community. So,
yeah, that's a niche in itself.
Yeah, but it's interesting that, okay, you have the One Short Eye viewers, people who watch your stuff, leaving comments and such, but you are also part of a bigger community, which is the speedrunning community. So you have that sort of
I think that helped a lot with like an initial audience, because it was people in the speedrunning discords who were interested in adventure game speedrunning, already. It wasn't just, fans of the games, but people who were, and it also, I think, helped that I was bringing in people from the community, because then there's sort of, I haven't really thought of it this way before, but there's almost buy-in that way, because it's like, these are our videos now. Right.
Yeah. That's have you, let's flip it around. Instead of you polling your audience, what do you guys want to see? Has the speedrunning community ever influenced you in the opposite way, as in you say, okay, that is interesting. I gotta get in on this shit.
Yes, actually. But a lot of times it's more in the sense of like, hey, whenever you're ready to do, this game, I'd be happy to talk with you. And I think, I didn't really think about that so much, but now that you're telling me, like, okay, we could take a look at that. That's actually how the King's Quest VII video got made, because one of the runners was like, hey, whenever you want to talk about that, I'd love to. I'm like, yeah, how about right now? It's fine. we can do that. But also it's also influenced sometimes by things that are happening. Like, once people started speedrunning Gabriel Knight, the 20th anniversary edition, and broke the hell out of it and made the animations go all goofy, I'm okay. We have to talk about this at some point. I didn't get to it for another 6 to 8 months, but sometimes things will happen and it'll be like, okay, this is fun. This is fun. Eventually we need to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jesus, close to the microphone and everything. You sure you're not like poking his butt just to make him do that?
No.
So no.
So
that's his answer.
So Daniel,
for those who are just listening on podcast, he literally just took his finger and put it in his mouth and licked it, just to prove that he did not, or did, or was preparing. Weird dude.
He was lubing up, is what he was doing.
Oh, Dr. Big Finger.
Well, this
you
is
sure you want this on YouTube now?
I've had worse. I've seen my shit. Damn it, I called King Graham a bunch of things that I should not repeat in polite conversation. And I did not get demonetized for it. Fingers crossed. Anyway, what a perfect segue into asking Daniel a question. Also, you having Paul as your co-host, who was the star of a much beloved game for reasons. That's right. we like, okay, for those of you not know, me and Daniel like to joke about, how can this be your favorite game like this? So we tend to tease each other a bit. I tell him I hate the dick at every opportunity. But no. So you didn't like start from scratch and have to build an audience through whatever lack of personality you have, like me. You had Paul. He was the star of a computer game. You had sort of a format baked into this. So I'm guessing you also, like One Short I was talking about, the sort of the buy-in community. You already had people who were interested. You didn't have to start from zero. Has that influenced the sort of content you're making once you decided to branch out and do other things than Phantasmagoria? Was it like a case of, okay, shit, we actually got viewers. We're going to have to do something after we finish Phantasmagoria?
Well, every time we had a bump in our subscribers, it was because of one of our shifts. we shifted to a different direction by doing, let's plays with guests or more interviews, and then we got more subscribers. So the initial, once the channel launched, then we had around 1,000 something subscribers, or exactly 1,000 subscribers, I think, in the first month. Those are the hardcore Phantasmagoria fans that joined to watch the then monthly live streams. Back then, there was only one live stream a month, and that's it. Paul would live stream for 2 hours with one of the people who worked on Phantasmagoria, either cast or crew. And so these were the numbers for hardcore Phantasmagoria fans. So once we branched out to other games, so for example, we started playing Phantasmagoria 1 and then Gabriel Knight, then fans of those games joined our channel. So I think that unlike other adventure game related channels that start out as adventure game channels, and so the fans join according to the topic you're covering, which is adventure games in general, we started out by focusing on one game, and then focusing on another game, and then focusing on adventure games in general.
And then having interviews in on top of quite illustrious people, I have to say. So you probably started out as a Phantasmagoria channel, then you maybe started out as what could be ostensibly called a Sierra channel, in that you branched out to Gabriel Knight and first Phantasmagoria, and then you started interviewing everyone who's ever worked at LucasArts ever. So now you probably get a lot of LucasArts fans in, I would imagine, and adventure game fans in general. So has all those decisions you made to branch out, were they out of a sort of closed circuit conversation with Paul about, okay, we're kind of running out of things to do, we should do something else? Or was it influenced by, holy shit, we've actually got a community around us, what type of content do you think they would like to see?
Well, on our Discord server, we have a game recommendations channel, which we started out a few months ago. But before that, in our general chat channel, people were suggesting games they want us to play on stream. And so we started playing them. But eventually, things like the interviews and the games we're playing right now are more things that we want to do. So sure, people can recommend people to interview or games to play, but we've made the decision to not do things just because people ask us to do them, but because we actually want to do them. So for example, there are a bunch of people that I'm sure that if I'll interview will help us get more subscribers and we'll probably get tons of views, but these are not people I want to interview. I want to interview the people who worked on the games that my favorite games from my childhood, because that would make for a much more interesting interview. The reason I can talk for 4 hours with these people is because I have
a gun to their head,
30-year-old questions balled up inside me to ask them. So I'll talk for 4 hours. But interviewing someone just because, I don't know, he worked on several games that I have no interest in or that are popular now, is not my MO.
That makes absolute sense. Okay, so already gone over the mark. I want to get this one in. Obviously, what people are tuning in to, if they are still around, is what's the weirdest shit we've gotten? Like, what's not necessarily hateful, but just like the weirdest. We've already sort of covered the hateful shit, but what's the weirdest, like the what planet do you live on kind of shit you guys have gotten? One short out, you gotta have someone.
I've got one. So I already mentioned the one about, wow, you got busted for cheating.
Yeah, and
one that was really weird. It was a similar sort of thing, but their idea was different. So there's a speedrunner that I mentioned in a few of my videos named Urquan. And Urquan was really good, did a lot of things that were really neat. And then he just sort of ghosted the community, left without saying goodbye, which, I mean, fine, whatever. People, it's not like he had to get our permission to leave or whatever. But he left and didn't even like say goodbye. So it was sort of like, hey, where are you? So we don't really know what happened to him. He just left. We do know he's still alive, but that's another story. So he's
just said,
wow. How do you know that?
I will tell you after the stream. But anyway,
don't put your home address in your.
We don't know why he left, but he left. But then eventually, somebody in a video, somebody went to the videos and found people who asked, "Hey, did Urquan ever come back?" And this guy wrote, "No, he died of COVID in 2020."
What?
I was going around telling people that Urquan died.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, as a joke.
As a joke, yeah.
Wow. As funny.
Just like
hilarious.
A joke, yeah. It was very bizarre.
Death joke.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
You're still waiting on the punchline of that particular joke.
Yeah. Just like that. Wow.
Yeah. Those comments got removed.
Yeah. I would imagine.
Everybody works says he should do stand up. It's.
I get a lot of looks things, as in I look like Chad Smith, the drummer of Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like I'd say one out of every 20 comments that I get has something to do, and if you say Flea, which is then I get really upset.
Now your teeth are a little better than Flea's.
I also get some people get upset. They think like I pimp my wife out on my videos or something. They're oh, you've you put your wife out on this video, like I'm using her. Like it's not like she's changing anything. She's got a comment or something. She's, you know what I mean? Like,
no, I've actually seen that. You got a comment on, was it an Instagram post you made or something with your wife? And people are like, oh, why you got to parade your trophy wife around or something like really strange like that.
There's a lot of things that people get upset, like when regarding, people, I've had 2 different times that people get upset because I call her my wife and not my partner. And that's another one that's like, that I still don't understand the rules when it comes to that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I'm saying that she's below me by saying that she's my wife. Some of those, like, I get a lot of weird ones when it comes to that, but I'm still learning the rules when it comes to the PR thing. The rule is, don't say anything or do anything ever. And don't look like Chad Smith, apparently. I should play that off, actually. I should grow my drum kit out and just like start going.
I have a children's drum kit. I can bring that to the convention and I can jam on that.
Just chatting, man.
So, Paul, I know you don't get too many comments, but given that most of your comments and most of your interaction with the community happens in private conversation, have you ever gotten any weird emails? Not from me specifically, but from like someone you don't know.
Let's see. I've gotten one. So now I'm just trying to talk over him. Sorry, I don't.
That's okay.
The editing, since I do the editing for my show, I'm like, I really don't want to have to make you make a cut right now. So, the weirdest one I got was it was actually King's Quest related again. So a long time ago, and I went off on some unhinged tangent about how Connor isn't the name of a hero, and it's not a heroic name. And really pissed some guy off. His name wasn't Connor, considering how mad he was. You would have really thought it was, but he was just a huge Highlander fan, and I
I'm McGregor.
McCloud or whatever. I missed the whole Highlander thing. I'm a fan of Kilts, but I never watched that show, so I didn't even know that. Because I'm sure he's heroic. I guess I still haven't seen it because I don't care. But man, this guy was pissed. He's like, "How dare you say that?" I mean, he just tripled down on the fact that like, how dare I indicate that Connor isn't like a mighty heroic masculine name. Which, whatever. I was just joking. Like, I don't even necessarily stand by it. I thought it was the first time I heard it live on our little podcast thing where Rick had told me that it wasn't Graham or Alexander, it was Connor. I'm like, Connor? Like, really? Like, I see, I'm doing it again. Let me stop. But yeah.
No, it's absolutely right. What's the other adventure game where you play the person's name? Oh, it's the 11th Hour, where your lead character is... oh shit! I'm even blanking on the name. It's so silly. Carl. Like,
Carl.
Your hero's name is Carl.
Hey, Carl.
I mean, it's not like it's a terrible name. I apologize to anyone who's. I'm not ragging on people who named Carl. I'm just saying, why Carl? Why?
I will say Connor sounds like a person who would run around the entire game naked.
Yeah.
And he has in certain people's playthrough.
Without a cheat code.
I just learned about this recently.
No
It's a great cheat. There's one I just remembered. If I could just say one more for
yeah.
So on both of my Colonel's Bequest videos, someone has posted paragraphs and paragraphs of a fan theory where they're trying to prove that really that Seely is the killer and she's using voodoo magic to manipulate people. Everyone on the island into like what needs to happen. I have not responded to that, but apparently I think this is a fan theory that they take very seriously for some reason.
Yeah, I was going to say that could be a really fun kind of post and discussion, but yeah, I don't get that vibe from
it. All depends on how into the theory they are. Because I've run into people in the adventure game community. I will exclude the naming of names, but I've run into people who don't just entertain the notion that this could be an interesting theory and then go into some sort of personal rabbit hole and go, okay, that, but still have like an anchor to reality. I've seen people let go of that anchor. Mm-hmm. And just get very, very upset if you insinuate to them that they could potentially be wrong, and may have been proven wrong by some other people, including the authors of the games they're trying to theorize about. That sort of thing.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hasn't happened specifically on my channel or anything, but it is some individuals I have run into get a little too invested in their own notions.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't. With this particular individual, I didn't engage to figure out how seriously they take it. But I will say you do have to click on the more button on the YouTube comment to read the whole thing. I'll leave it at that.
and then watch all the other comments just skyrocket, or no, the opposite of skyrocket, just bury themselves. So Daniel, you both live stream and put out videos, and you have your Patreon community and all that sort of stuff. I would imagine comments, as you say, not so much weird shit going on there, but in a live stream setting, how quick do you have to be on the trigger finger when someone dives in with a weird comment? And what's the weirdest comment you've got on a live stream?
Well, usually on our live streams, we have, it depends on either the subject matter or the guest. Because most of the time when me and Paul are streaming, then the layout of on OBS has enough empty space for the chat. So we implement the chat in the video itself. So even if we encounter some comment that we want to delete, it won't delete it from the video itself. Because you can delete it from the live chat feature. But it won't delete it from the screen because it's already there. And so we have had our share of live streams in which we either didn't use the chat at all, or we had one of us moderating the chat during the live stream itself.
And what do you, if you have the actual live stream elements on the screen itself, what do you do now? Do you like have a delay so you can see the comment and delete the comment, or do you do the whole sort of moderated?
We just take a leap of faith that everything will be all right, and then when it's not, then we just delete it.
Do you check your comments? You're because your live streams are very active. Like
I always check my comments, and I usually, because I'm handling OBS back at the beginning, Paul was handling OBS. And I was in charge of chat. Now I'm handling both. And so I don't have enough time to play the game, review the chat, and handle OBS. So a lot of the times I read the chat after the live stream.
And you are taking a leap of faith. Yeah.
And in terms of comments, I tend to reply to all of them. Mm-hmm. And not even from the Conversations with Curtis account, from my account. Yeah. So that we'll have, it will be distinguished between what Paul is replying to and likes and what I'm replying to and like.
Oh, that's a good distinction. I should probably get my weirdest thing out of the way, and then we can wrap this up in a neat little bow. I think the weirdest one I got, and I have to apologize to the person if they are watching this, and I didn't like get weirded out specifically, but I was a bit like, I did not expect this at all. I got a thirst comment. Like, ooh. Someone actually wrote.
I've apologized several times for this. I don't.
and it wasn't Paul, because he usually DMs me pictures of his anatomy.
Slides right in there.
And see, I'm ready for those. In fact, I look forward to them on some lonely nights. But this one was a public YouTube comment that it started out innocuously enough in that I enjoy your content. I'm an insane person, but yeah, fine. Thank you so much. And then she specifically went on to say, apologies to your wife, but you're also very good looking. I'm like, I'm a cartoon avatar in most of my videos.
Some people are into that.
Yeah, no judging. Absolutely not. But I also have 4 arms and huge teeth, also in real life. So I was like, I don't know how to respond to this. And days passed when I was like, I don't know how to respond to this at all. And do you guys have the same thing where if you get like a really glowing positive comment, you're also a bit like, I don't know how to handle this. How do I say thank you? Do I, what?
Any thirst comments that I've ever gotten are from men, never from a woman. Like never from which is disappointing. I'd like him from both parties, please. I don't care. As long as just give me your attention.
I see Paul's in your DMs as well. No, but seriously, I don't know. And I'm not being faux modest or anything. If people leave me like a glowing thumbs up, I'm a bit like, I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah.
Does anyone else
like the comment? And you're right. Thank you for the kind words.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate the kind words. Thanks for watching. Variations on that.
Yeah, but it seems so like again.
No, you can't. There's nothing else you can say that's going to match that. So thank you for finding us in our little corner of the internet. I appreciate you. Name. There you go.
I'll elaborate a bit. If it's a short comment, let's say 2 sentences or up to a paragraph, and it's a nice comment, and you write, thank you for the kind words and like the comment. If it's actually, several paragraphs of everything that went extremely well with that particular video or your work on something, then I tend to elaborate. Yeah. And I write, thank you for the kind words, or your comment made my day, or comments like this keep me going on.
Yeah, that's
variations of that.
That's a good one, yeah.
I mean, I had one, and I hope this isn't betraying the trust of the person. He didn't say that. There was a person who, no, it isn't. But there was a person who emailed me and said that he really enjoyed my content to the point where I have this Patreon tier, this joke Patreon tier that says no one would ever do this. And I think it's like $1,000 or something, where it says, I will personally come to your house and tell you the reason why your kids can't eat anymore is because of me. That, it's a joke tier. But there's a person who actually emailed me and said, so I don't want you to actually come to my house, but your content has meant so much to me. I don't know why, that I want to pledge to this tier. I'm going to give you $1,000. I don't want it to be a monthly thing, but is there a way for me to pledge to give you $1,000 now? And I was like, why do you want to give me $1,000? What the hell did I do? It's like, it's very nice of you, but how the fuck do you respond to that?
This is why I don't deal with money. I'm not comfortable in it. I don't like taking people's money. I won't do Patreon. Well, I'm going to have to eventually, but it's just really uncomfortable. I don't like it in real life. I don't like receiving cash. It makes it really uncomfortable. Like for me, what do I do here?
I don't know, guys. Learning to be gracious is a skill that we all have to learn. That's something I used to be horrible taking compliments or whatever too, but it's, it's almost like a gift back to them to be gracious as to what they're giving to you. So, you got to.
Yeah, because ignoring it is pretty may insult the person.
It is, yeah.
They took the time to write all the good things.
Hey, please bring some money in for Adventure Game Hotspot. Jack's like, I don't know. I think you might want to, accept some cash.
Yeah,
because,
how do I answer that? PayPal is fine. Yes, thank you. That would be nice.
I mean, you're right. Here's the thing. It's the thing for me is I obviously appreciate when people say nice things to me, and I appreciate the fact that they're watching it and it seems to mean something to them if they want to give me money or not. It's all good. There's this thing there's this voice in the back of my head that says I'm just an idiot with a YouTube channel. Why don't you talk to someone important?
Well, I think that speaks to a bigger issue, which is just that. I think this is true for a lot of creative people, that you should not be defining the value of what your audience sees in you. Mm-hmm. Right? Your audience decides what value your work has, and you don't get to decide that.
Wow, you just upgraded yourself to the rank of adult. And in this,
you're a teacher, aren't you?
I used to be, actually.
That's really good. Okay, and so a postscript to the whole $1,000 bit, we had an email talk. I was like, you don't have to. It's all good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And he was like, no, I insist. And then eventually some PayPal stuff happened. And my kid got new toys for his room. That's how that worked.
Nice. Oh, cool.
So I tried to play it as an adult, but in the back of my mind was just screaming like, what is happening? So,
it's almost like a tinge of like an imposter syndrome going on with I would speak probably on all of our behalfs, and the creative types, or it's just feeling almost unworthy, or just suddenly like I feel uncomfortable in my own skin. Like, I don't know. I'm more afraid, like I would never not respond to somebody, but I'm afraid of sounding generic. Like I want to give them back equal to what they gave me. And that's
yes,
it's almost impossible, and it takes so much time and energy that I would say that I pay Anna to do a lot of Phantom Fellows Twitter stuff, because if I don't have somebody else doing it, like I just like give all my energy to it, because like I just don't have it in me to do generic comment number 6, like thank you so much for da da da. And I know I'm not talking down on that, because I think it's a skill and it's one I'm envious of. Like I wish I had it, but I can't do it. I don't know how to just like thank you so much and da da da, and we're both like move on with my day. Like it'll haunt me for like hours if I did it that way.
That's exactly how it is.
Why not be authentic, and that's it? Just write whatever you think is appropriate for that tweet or that thing.
And that is the answer.
You can't go wrong there, because most of us as content creators, people watch our content because they like some aspect of our personality or the persona that we created online. And so that aspect of your personality or persona is the thing that you should use to reply to these comments or tweets or whatever. You can't go wrong there.
I would say you strike us. You're in the right zone there, in the sense that it's. I don't know how to employ a persona in those moments. So I have to be authentic, and it can actually be exhausting. Like for Phantom Fellows, for example, like I do Wishlist Wednesday and Adventure Game Friday and Screenshot Saturday, and just if I was to give authentic responses to everything 3 days a week, every week, it's exhausting. It would take me forever. And I also know that there's like a disproportionate scale going on where I'm putting a ton of effort into everything I'm saying, and most people on Twitter are not, which is fine. But it's like I recognize that, so it's like it's just it's I think it's almost a little more complicated for me anyway than to just be like, well, then just always be authentic, because it's time consuming for one, because I'll spend 40 minutes on a single response sometimes because I want to I want to really think it through and blah blah blah. So I don't know, it can be trickier than that, I guess. And my solution was to hire somebody who can just bang out generic comments.
That's a great solution. But I mean, part of the problem, Paul, is that you're trying to give back in proportion. You said that you can't do that, and they don't want that. They're trying to give you a gift, And if you just try and repay it, then it's transactional. You know what I mean? So
right.
Like, I just think of a few very quick, sincere words. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. It's not generic. It's from the heart. It's quick. It's easy. And, they'll
and besides, you also have several options on, for example, on Twitter and on most similar social networks. You have share, you have retweet, and you have like. Mm-hmm. So, for example, every time I tweet about something related to Return to Monkey Island, then Terrible Toy Box, the company, Ron Gilbert's company, can either like and retweet. So you know that you did good because they liked and retweeted it. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when I posted about my interview with the producer of Return to Monkey Island, then they liked it, while on our live stream, when we live streamed the game, then they liked and retweeted it. So you can use these things. It doesn't feel less personal. I guess that they get tons of comments about Return to Monkey Island, so they don't have the time to reply to everyone. But you can use these things as gestures for the people who actually took the time to write something about that.
I think it's an interesting thing that this is very helpful for me, actually, because I'm totally in Paul's boat. I want to give people took the time to be nice to me. I should give them the courtesy of being nice to them in return proportionally. And what Jack just said was very, very interesting and kind of an eye opener for me, actually. And that makes it transactional, and it doesn't be, and they most likely don't expect that. And that's something that I hadn't realized. Thanks, Dad.
Cheers, yeah.
I come from a world where I'm come from radio. And so I'm used to if there's any type of transactions involved, it's from a sponsor, a production company, or directly from the station. So I feel like if someone's personally giving me money, I'm uncomfortable in that regard. Now, when it comes to responses or anything, now people hate me because I do fantasy football, and if they're either asking me who do I start, or the other comment is, why do you suck so bad? Why did you make me lose this money? So my responses are always quick and efficient. Thank you so much. It's like that. Here's your answer, and I'm going to move on. It is a transactional thing, and I'm obsessive compulsive because I do have to bang them all out. Every single comment when someone messages on all social medias, and so that's where it's rough. It's rough for me.
All right, let me wrap this up. What is the piece of content? This is supposed to be a quick rapid fire roundtable thing. Like, what is the piece of content you feel either generated the most discussion, the most interaction, or the most interesting discussion? Like, what's the topic, the thing that springs to mind, the first thing that springs to mind that you've done where you thought, okay, this thing has legs. Could be good legs, could be bad legs, could be wonky legs. One short eye.
Well, I guess that'd have to be the King's Quest 3 video, because that really popped off and has many more views than anything else that I have. So, and thus many more comments. So,
and they're all about the fucking eagle. No,
the eagle, or the boat weight, or the cat that you trip over on the stairs. I could go on and on.
I cheese the cat,
Quest 3.
But I hate that fucking eagle. Eagle can go to hell. Anyway, good one. Daniel.
Well, our piece of content is Paul's interview with Noah Entweiler after he got him out of hibernation. Mm-hmm. So that was the first piece of content that had Noah on camera in, 8 years, 9 years, I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. So that's our most viewed channel, and you can see that in general, that piece of content increased the number of monthly average viewers we had before the video was released and after. Mm. So if you review the analytics for the lifetime of the channel, you can see the point in which that video was released and how the monthly views increased from that point on.
Mm. And that I have to say that video, or that content, that whole thing he did with Noah was also a really special moment for me, because I was going to say I grew up as a Spoonie fan. I was in college, but still, I mean, I still say to this day, basically what I do is I ape Spoonie with a stupid cartoon avatar. It's basically, so I was a huge fan, and it was amazing to see him come back. So yeah, cheers for that one. Well, Paul, you guys ever done an episode where you just went, okay, this thing kicks ass, either with the sort of engagement you got community, like pats on the back, or just took off in a weird direction, and you think, this is my proudest work. My children shall put this on a mantle and pass it down through generations.
Yeah, so there's two. I'll make it quick, especially the first one, because I think I brought it up on a previous podcast, but we interviewed Ken Williams, and he was able to talk Roberta into coming on to the interview with us. And if that sounds weird, it's because she hadn't done an interview at that point in I think it was like 20 years, something like that. 12 years, 20 years, something with a 2 in it. That's more than just 2. It had been a long time, and she wasn't aware of the whole booming adventure community. She had no idea that there were like fan remakes of her games. She didn't know about like Wajidai, that she thought it was, I could listen to her, like I could hear her in real time being like baffled at the thought that there's pixel art games still being made. Like we really had the honor of kind of letting her know that. And then months later they put Signa something together and did Colossal Cave. And so that was something I was really, really proud of, because it was, I don't know, a lot of it was also just luck. Like Ken just happened to have been cool enough to ask her if she would join, and she just so happened to. But I think I'm proud of it because of what they went on to do. And now, Roberta popping into Daniel's chat room, just popping in throughout the whole community is kind of a common thing. So that feels pretty cool. And then the other one that I'm almost tempted to put above that, just because it was more of a personal, coming from a personal place, was a recent episode we did a few months ago where it was called Consequence, Comfort, and the Modern Adventure Game, or something like that. And it wasn't quite as classy sounding as I think I just put it, but I was really proud of that, because that was a conversation that Anna and I were trying to have for the last year or two, and I was really just trying to wrap my head around, especially coming from a developer point of view or whatever, making games, and having Sierra, like being a Sierra player at heart, but seeing the market nowadays is heavily tilted on the LucasArts style of game, and just kind of wrestling with that for the last 2 or 3 years since I've been in game development. Like, where did things start to tilt heavily into the highlighted hotspot angle, and how I started to fear that if adventure gamers keep getting what they ask for, they're going to end up with just like spoon-fed escape room stuff. Like, adventure gamers are talking developers into doing all the work for them. And then you bring streamers into it, and streamers want a quick exit so they don't even have to walk across the room anymore. And I'm just like, dude, what are we doing then? What are we turning adventure games into if we keep heading down this route of limited exploration? So that's what that whole episode was about. So basically, I wanted the episode to do really good, and it did. It did much better numbers than our average show. I think our average show is like 300, something like that. And this one, last I checked, I think it was at like 600 or 700. So it was just a cool feeling to know that, like, hey, people are interested in this conversation, and probably not done with that either. I'd like to tackle it down the line again.
Cool. I think I heard that episode 300 times. It's my fault.
It's an interesting discussion, and I'll bet now that you brought it up, all the comments, if any, in the YouTube version of this at least, will all be about, well, Paul, the reason why we do the sort of thing is like, but did you listen to the rest of the video? No, we skipped straight to Paul shitting on double click to exit rooms. So I'm going to point to Josh first, because the video creator before Adventure Game Hotspot and now video creator as Adventure Game Hotspot, what's a video that you've done that either like took off and had legs, or that you really think, okay, this kicks ass?
Well, it's like, I think we all can admit that in the adventure game niche or genre, we're capped at a certain level. So most videos are all going to be solid to consistent. So it's really hard to say, okay, we really blew up and got like 100,000 views or something like that. But there was one situation that was a negative. I guess I didn't think. Roberta, I was interviewing Roberta Williams, and she asked me what my opinions were, or something along the lines of regarding a book or her book. And she asked like my perspective or something. And I mentioned that I prefer to read books from a male perspective because I can put myself in their shoes and read those books. Didn't think about how that would be perceived. And she agreed 100%. And, well, anyway, that didn't go over well at all. There was people that aren't even adventure game fans that got passed around, and people got mad at her for not saying I was wrong to have that view or something. So that was I guess that was my viral taste in a negative way. Me saying that I prefer to read books from a male perspective.
Okay, Jack,
you broke the unwritten rules again.
Is that an unwritten rule?
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, not touching that one with a 10-foot pole, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, article-wise, lists are always the hottest item. People love lists. So this is going back to Adventure Gamers days when I did the top 100 adventures of all time. It's before Joshua did a video, his own video version. It was like just a huge hit. That was far and away our most heavily trafficked and commented on article.
It still is over at AG, yeah.
What's that?
It still is over at AG.
Probably, yeah. And I wanted to do an update. Like that was like over 10 years ago. And there's so many, different games I'd want to put on a new list. So that's on my own to-do list. But yeah, people love lists. So, but I think the best, this is kind of cheating because it's not an article, but for 3 years in a row, me and the staff of Adventure Gamers came out with adventure games, actual games called Christmas Quest. And like nobody knew they were coming. And it was basically game jam sort of rushed production, sort of 3 weeks to a month kind of thing. And it was the most stressful I've ever been at Christmas, but also the most fun I've ever had at Christmas. And they really went over big with the community. And that will always be something special for me because like nobody knew it was coming. And like, wow, this is amazing. You're making games now. It's really cool. And then they played them and went, these are really bad. But no. I'd like to think they are.
That's a really good one. Mine is kind of mundane actually. The one video I've done that's really popped off or really still consistently gets comments even though it's ages and ages old. It's I know exactly how old it is. It's just over 3.5 years old because that's how old my son is. Back when I was getting ready to have a son, I decided to not really do YouTube videos. I was going to sit in my car and do vloggy type shit. And one of the videos I did, it was a terrible idea to begin with. And the video I did was why Monkey Island 3 or why A Curse of Monkey Island is a terrible Monkey Island sequel, which is clickbaity as hell.
Yeah, yeah.
And for some reason, that video still crops up in people's recommended. And it's a guy sitting in a parking lot in his car talking to the camera. There are no cut-ins or inserts. It's just I think it's a 15 or 20 minute rant about how LeChuck is just a pussy in that game and stuff like that. And it just, and people are still upset about it. Even though I say it's a beautiful, well-written, well-acted fan game of Monkey Island, and they go, no. And I can certainly see why. And obviously it was a bit of a troll. It was a bit of a semi-clickbaity thing. I didn't say anything I don't actually mean, but it was, that one still has legs, and I'm not entirely sure why, because it's a dude in a car.
Well, because of the comments, just like their top 10 videos, because with top 10 videos, you always have people saying, hey, where's this game? Where's that game?
Where's the game?
And so you always have engagement. And, when I think they uploaded a video in which the audio was only on the left channel. And even though I made them aware of that fact, they still released it. And I understand it now because people talk about the fact that YouTubers add mistakes on purpose because then people will comment on them and then you have engagement. Because YouTube doesn't care if the engagement is good or bad. It doesn't care if 1,000 people are saying this is crap. It's 1,000 people commenting. And so this will get that video to more people. And that's the thing. With top 10, you'll always have people saying, where's X? And with audio on the left channel, you'll have hundreds of people saying, what the hell? Where's the audio on the right channel?
People's left ear has enjoyed my videos on more than 20.
My left ear enjoyed that review.
You know, it's the Beatles 1960s school of audio mixing. You got all the vocals in one ear and all the instruments in the other.
Exactly.
It was a cappella, so just one ear. I will say one thing I sort of glossed over is one video that consistently gets views, even though it's outdated as hell, is my adventure game studio tutorial, which is a terribly amateurish.
That one up too.
Terribly amateurish 3 video.
I've used that in one of my videos to illustrate AGS code.
And the fucked up thing is, I still get people, including Paul, saying that those videos helped them get into making adventure games. And I'm like, they're terrible. They were terrible when I made them. They're outdated and terrible now. Thank you so much. That's a positive for me. I
wouldn't be making my game if it wasn't for your tutorials. I really wouldn't, because you speak my language, so it's like hearing you explain how to do it that registered. Whereas like going on the AGS forums, or even there's a really comprehensive tutorial on YouTube by Densiming or something like that, but he's just so programmer minded that it was immediately going over my head. But when I saw you do it, everything just started. I don't know, all I can really word it is like you kind of speak my language. So I'm like, okay, Trolls, like you explained it to me, and maybe as an adult to a child might, or something like that. It really helped. And I just want to add real quick, because you reminded me of your car videos. There was one car video you did, and your brain just glitched out, and in mid-sentence you just switched to your native language, and it was still like, it was one of the hardest moments I've ever laughed in my life, because it was, oh my god, it was so jarring and so funny, and it just was like, that one? It almost sounded like just like an android getting water splashed on it, because you're just like, and then just glitched into your. It's not. I want to say Denmarkian.
Yes, that is exactly it.
Americans.
I mean, it is jarring. Oh, I see. The man with the hat. Chad has to bail. So we should probably. We were almost going on 2 hours anyway. Does anyone else have a this popped off, or this is a proud moment for me thing? No, well, cool. We have nothing to be proud of.
Anything.
No, we're not. We're ashamed of everything we've done.
Okay, so one last one I have to say is the one shirt I actually helped me with was the recent video I did with the nude mod for King's Quest IV, which ended up having an amazing redemption arc, which no one expected, least of all me, where I thought I was just going to shit all over the stupid mod, and then got in touch with the dude, and it completely flipped 180 on his head. And that was one of those when I went, am I actually doing good in the world? Kind of thing.
Coming of age story.
That one was again. All right.
Hey, so I have a story about doing good in the world.
Hey, good.
It'll be a short one.
Cool.
I interviewed Steve Conrad. From Sierra a while ago. And at first I wasn't sure that video was going to do well, because not many people know Steve Conrad. And even when I posted about it on the Sierra channels, then I didn't get that many likes. So I wasn't sure how that's gonna. And at first I wanted to do a premiere like I usually do, but I thought maybe I should upload it as a regular video, because I'm not sure how many people will tune in. But eventually I premiered it. And during the premiere, one of the other Sierra guys showed up, William Shackley. And he said that he hasn't talked to Steve Conrad in I don't know how many years. And then Steve joined the live chat, and then they talked amongst themselves about doing a Sierra reunion. And a couple of hours later, Steve posted on Facebook that he talked to William, and then they decided to do a reunion. And then all of the other Sierra guys joined in. And so we have a reunion.
You taught me about
summer.
Steve Comrade in that video, by the way. Like you introduced me to him.
Yeah.
So I wasn't aware, and thank you for that.
Yeah, that's really
pleasure.
great. All right, so I think I'm about to wrap this one up. Again, to everyone who's tuning in, thinking this is the first episode we've ever done this, if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, we actually have a backlog of episodes. Some of them are also interesting, and there's a link in the description for those. Those are audio only, but check in if you want some cool tips and tricks on how to be a content creator or how not to be one, in my case. And do check out my fellow Adventure Game Hotspot Network compatriots. Links also in the description, but I will just quickly give you guys a chance to say your channel name and where to find you and all that sort of stuff. So jump in. Let's start with Paul. CGGpodcast.com, wishlist of Phantom Fellows on Steam, and I'm on Twitter at Phantom Fellows or at CGG Podcast. Look, I'd really rather you wishlist the game than follow the podcast, so that's my sign-off message.
Paul will
It's not an either or, Paul. It's not an either or.
Fair enough. But technically, Anna is on Twitter as Paul, so if I understand that correctly.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel.
We have our Discord channel, discord.conversationswithcurtis.com, Convos Curtis on Twitter and Mastodon, Conversations with Curtis on Facebook, Convos with Curtis on Instagram, or you can follow me on Twitter, Daniel Albu, on Blue Sky, Daniel Albu, on Mastodon, Daniel Albu at mastodon.gamedev.place, or go to my official website, danielalbu.com.
Wow, you've done this before, haven't you? AGH, you and the fancy hats.
Yeah, you can find us on all the podcast places. We have a podcast, Adventure Game Hotspot. Jack and I host that. You can find us on all of the socials except for Mastodon, because Mastodon is incredibly difficult for me to understand and or use. Let's see.
Boomer.
Obviously, adventuregamehotspot.com. You can find Jack there 24/7 and the staff writing goodies, and the YouTube. Oh, and just make sure you follow us on our Facebook group. Just search Adventure Game Hotspots on the Facebook group, because we're trying to go that one now. I think we're at like 500 followers. I would like for that to be 501. That could be you.
Okay, but
maybe I should follow it.
Oh, is it? Are you absolutely certain the reason you're not on Mastodon is because you prefer social media from a male perspective?
Oh, is that a thing? Like, what?
I'm so sorry. It's past midnight. I don't know what I'm saying.
So does Anna.
This is why I don't live stream. Jack.
Oh, I'm all the same as Joshua. Just adventuregamehotspot.com. That's where you're going to find me. So.
She's like, do not write me directly. Just do.
I don't do social media.
So what's your home address?
You've got Anna doing your social media. I've got Joshua doing all ours. So.
And one short eye.
That'd be One Short Eye on YouTube and Twitter.
There you go. And you cannot find his home address or even his email address, as I have discovered. So yeah, that's it for us. Please check.
What about you?
Oh yeah, I forgot. We're also doing a thing. Well, technically, if you are watching this on my channel, then you already know where to find it, I would assume. But yeah, that's Space Quest Historian on YouTube. I have a second channel called @SQH Plays, where I post Let's Play content eventually. And yeah, the SQH Discord exists. It's in the description of all my YouTube videos. It has a terribly useless URL. And blah. I think I'm on Twitter still. I am on Mastodon because I enjoy social media no, sorry. Not going to do that again. And I'm very, very tired, so I'm going to stop now.
He's pulling the parachute. We out.
I'm out. Me and the blue frog on my shoulder. We're out. So yeah. Thanks so much. We do these monthly, by the way. So check back next month. And yeah, what a caper this was. Thank you guys so much.
Kisses.
See ya.
Kisses. Bye.
Bye.